Hello everyone! Today the Bookworms are going to be reading Snow Adventure, written by Antoine Lanciaux, illustrations by Sophia Rose, and layout by Nicole Kalager, adapted from the original film Snow. Phil and his sister Prune lived in a little town with a river running through it. One morning, Prune was going on a trip with her class. She was very excited. Phil was a bit jealous. "Don't look so cross," said his sister. "Your class will go on the trip next year." Beep, beep! The coach driver was sounding the horn. After a quick hug and a kiss, Prune joined her friends. She was off on an adventure. Phil went to school feeling a bit sad. The teacher had brought a big book about the North Pole. As she turned the pages, the class learned about the Inuit people. They lived in villages surrounded by ice and snow. Seals and polar bears lived nearby. Outside the classroom, the sky was thick with clouds. Suddenly, the teacher put down her book. She stood up, her eyes wide open in surprise. She said, "Wow, look children, it's snowing!" Very quickly, the whole town disappeared under a thick white blanket of snow. Soon, it would be impossible to drive on the roads. The teacher decided to close the school. Phil's parents came to fetch him. It was snowing so much that Phil could hardly see out of the car windows. Then suddenly, bump! The car hit something. It was a sledge pulled by dogs. An Inuit family had been traveling on the sledge. "Oh dear!" cried Phil's dad, getting out of his car. "Are you all right?" Luckily, nobody was hurt, but the Inuit family were not at all happy. Their sledge was broken. They said something, but Phil and his parents didn't know their language. The Inuit boy walked over to Phil and said, "Cowdluke!" "I'm Phil," said Phil. Phil liked the necklace Cowdluke was wearing. It had a big tooth hanging from it. "Nanook," said Cowdluke, pointing to the tooth. Phil didn't know what Nanook meant. He guessed it was the name of the animal that the tooth had belonged to. Then Cowdluke made a sign for Phil to follow him. Cowdluke led Phil into the forest. They walked until they came to an igloo. It was a real house made of ice. The two boys went inside. An old lady welcomed Phil. She smiled at him. It was Cowdluke's grandmother, Ananatsiark. She had a pet owl by her side. Phil's house was not very far away. He invited Cowdluke and his grandmother to visit. Ananatsiark was looking around the kitchen when she suddenly stopped in front of a photo of Prune on the fridge door. Ananatsiark suddenly had a strange feeling that Prune was in danger. She opened the window and set her owl to find out what was happening. A few hours later, the owl came back. Ananatsiark knew then that Prune really was in danger. She needed help. Ananatsiark told the boys and they agreed to leave straight away to go look for Prune. The owl had called all the animals in the town to help find Prune, but it was still snowing heavily and the little group could only go slowly. Phil called, "Prune! Prune!" but nobody answered. Suddenly, Cowdluke noticed footprints in the snow. "Nanook," he said in a worried voice. "Nanook?" thought Phil. "I wish I knew what that word means." The storm passed, and Phil and Cowdluke followed the footprints. At last, they found Prune's coach. It was stuck in a huge pile of snow by the river. All the children were safe inside the coach. Phew! But why did they look so scared? They were waving their arms and shouting. Phil didn't understand. "What are you saying? There's a... what?" Suddenly, Phil and Cowdluke spotted a polar bear coming towards the bus. "Nanook!" yelled Cowdluke. "I see!" shouted Phil. "Nanook means polar bear!" The two friends quickly climbed up onto the roof of the coach. How could they get rid of the bear? Cowdluke saw a huge block of ice floating down the river. He had an idea, and he made signs to Phil to explain his plan. Phil knew straight away what he meant. "Yes, let's do it!" he shouted. The two boys threw snowballs at the bear from the top of the bus. The animals got angry and stood up. It leaned against the back of the coach with its two big paws. The coach shook and moved a little. Slowly, under the bear's weight, the coach began to slide down the bank. Would it fall in the water? No. It landed safely on the block of ice. The children were saved. Hooray! Cried Phil. We did it! Prune and Phil gave each other a big hug. The coach floated gently down the river on the block of ice. Phil gave Cowluck his hat to thank him. In return, Cowluck took off his necklace and gave it to Phil. Nanook, said Phil. He felt very proud that his friend had given him such a great present. The children all found their parents and went home with them. The sledge had been repaired and Cowluck and his family could carry on with their journey. In a few days, the snow would melt and disappear, but Phil would never forget Cowluck. The end. That's it for today, everyone. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more read-alongs. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!